Vince Staples, West Coast rapper, back with a brand new album, Dark Times. He's been on a pretty consistent run in the 2020s, dropping quite a few albums already, and it's only like 2024. But let's not forget he's been around much longer and has some pretty well-regarded albums under his belt already, particularly albums like Summertime '06 and Big Fish Theory, which was a total genre pivot and one of the bravest moves I think we've seen of any rapper of, you know, West Coast, East Coast, wherever frigging coast, of any rapper of the past 10 years, just completely shifting their sound and just subverting expectations. I think it was such a brave move, and some people even just completely like brushed him aside after he did that. You know, the typical old head rap mentality of wanting to hear proper hip hop music and none of that experimental shit. But there were some people that really welcomed it with open arms too, and I just thought it showed such a brave versatility to his game, and he's been really consistent ever since, to be fair. Dare I say, up until this point, my favourite album was actually Vince Staples' self-titled. The review was on this channel. I praised it quite a lot at the time. I really liked how laid back it felt, how casual it felt, but also the lyrics were so deep and rooted in such dark topics that made it such an interesting and compelling album to me. Not every track was soft and laid back, but there were some really upbeat tracks like Lil Fade, which I really enjoyed. Are You With That? Law of Averages. So many great tracks on that album for me. I think, to me personally, that was the one I've connected to the most. And I say up until this point, because dare I say he's one-upped it again, and maybe here is possibly the best album so far. Maybe. Do I say it? Do I dare to say it? Do I? Maybe. I think I might. Dark Times is everything his last two albums were, but just feels even more darker. Based on the title, you probably would have thought it yourself. You know, there's just so much beauty to this album, but there's so much pain as well. And I feel like with age and with each album, he's fine-tuning everything he was doing before and just making it even better as he goes along. It's super impressive. Black&Blue. I mean, good God, that first minute of the track is like, you have to pause. I had to pause the song because I was like, he said so much already. It's insane. Like the amount of detail he's packing in. He's talking about food stamp babies. He's talking about poverty. He's talking about what it's really like to live in the dark lifestyle of perhaps being in a gang, or maybe even just being surrounded in that area, being surrounded by that environment. And it's like he packs in crazy amounts of detail in just that first minute of the track. He hadn't even finished the first verse, and I was there like, man, this guy is going deep this time. He's going really hard in the details. And then you look at the production, which is like super soulful, super slick, the smoky guitar, the chorus on this track is really, really hooky as well. Like, it is just such a beautifully produced track that has so much to it, and essentially just talking about how, metaphorically I suppose, you're just completely black and blue from all of the beatings you've had emotionally and mentally. It's a brilliant track, and I can't believe we got this pretty much right out the gate. It is really, really sad to listen to be honest. I talked about the laid back delivery of self-titled already, but take that and multiply it by like 10 and you get a song like Government Cheese, where he just sounds so like pained and broken and fed up and tired. Like, you just can feel the raw emotion seeping through into that track. It's really sad. Honestly, it's really sad to listen to. I can't even deny it. But some really powerful lines on this one as well, where he's like, I love to see their face smile, but you know, everybody gotta die. And then the question is it hell or heaven where they end up going? God damn. I mean, his subdued delivery along with that. The chorus as well, where he keeps saying, don't forget to smile, as if he's sort of like forcing himself into just pretending you're okay, putting up a front, perhaps. That front is important with this album too, because I feel like Nothing Matters is similar. Like that track to me where he's just repeating the chorus, which I think is like some kind of Lauryn Hill, D'Angelo interpolation, maybe from Nothing Else Matters, I think, possibly. Where again, he's just repeating that line. Well, sorry, there's a guest feature on the track as well, repeating the line of just like nothing matters now, nothing even matters, that kind of thing. And it's just a bit like, I feel like he's trying to convince himself that things don't matter, but actually they do. And he's just trying to brush it under the rug, kind of suppress it down and just pretend things are okay, but they're not. In addition to that, I feel like Freeman adds to that a little bit as well, where he's kind of reflecting on where he is now and talking about how, you know, things are looking good in terms of the Netflix deal and everything is looking all good. But he repeats it's all good that many times, so it starts to sound like he doesn't actually believe it himself. Like, is everything actually all good? I'm not sure on it, man. The way he's saying it, you'd expect a bit more enthusiasm in how he's representing it. But nah, I don't know. I think a lot of this album is very much in the kind of vein of him trying to convince himself, which is really sad. Particularly soft sounds of Shame on the Devil, I think, is really beautiful as well. This track is produced so immaculately. It sounds fantastic. Again, with a really, really nice, smooth chorus that makes you kind of forget some of the details that are hidden in the verses. Like, if you just bob in your head to maybe some of these beats, because they kind of have a bit of a slight bounce to them, and the choruses are pretty catchy too, and you're just kind of there going, oh yeah, this is good, but then you just kind of forget the lyrics. You might be missing out on some pretty deep writing here, but yeah, I quite like the religious imagery coming through. He's always had this in his music, and I think the reference to like Shame on the Devil and stuff is very much bringing that back. As I said, with that bounce and that drive, étouffée. Yeah, I don't know how you say it. That track, I think it's like a translation for some kind of stew. It's like a food. Anyway, that track, really, really great drive to it. Little Homies has that classic West Coast flavour to it that we heard way back on Summertime '06, and of course throughout his entire career he's always had that feel to his music. He just does it so well. I mean, this track is easily one of the catchiest on the album. Gotta be one of my favourites from the whole thing for sure. Children's song, where he's addressing like gang members, naming them literally, you know, as Crips on this track, where he's essentially just addressing them and being like, look, it's time to put that all away and spend some time with your kids. Like, your kids are there. Why are you focusing so much on this when you've got to raise these kids? Essentially like attacking them for being deadbeats and not focusing enough time on their children, and perpetuating this cycle of, you know, children growing up without proper fathers and things. Really clever track. Thought that was a really great moment as well. Radio, I thought, was an interesting moment as well, where the opening lines are essentially him saying he misses the radio and just kind of wanting that escapism once again. And I wonder if this is a slight callback to the FM album, where that album is essentially, you know, the escapism of just focusing on the radio, but while you're just having a good day, maybe riding around in your car listening to some good music, all of these horrible things are happening around you, surrounding that. That album was pretty clever in how it detailed that sort of angle, and I think this track might be a slight callback to that, just like wishing the days where you could just escape from it all and just hear some good music. He just wants that back. Look, there just really is so much sadness behind the beauty of this album. Like, it is just produced so well. Vince is rapping so well. He's rhyming really well. The delivery is great. The hooks, the features that come through to contribute to the hooks as well are fantastic. It's slick, it's soulful. It's got like a really nice neo-soul feel to it, while also obviously being a hip-hop album. It's just a really, really stunning piece of work that just has so much depressing undertones to it as well, that just makes you think, wow, like Vince is really hitting a point in his career now where he's just nailing this vibe of making nice soulful music, really catchy, enjoyable music, while also penning some incredible lyrics that just detail what the life is really like. In some ways, it actually reminds me of an album that I love from this decade so far, Universal Credit from Jeshi, an album that I'm just not seeing enough love for some reason. It's a UK hip-hop album that doesn't really get talked about huge amounts, but it is incredible, and a similar vibe to that album lives in the world of Vince Staples' music as well. I mean, there's a Kendrick Lamar reference with Money Trees on this very album. And I feel like there is that kind of Good Kid, Mad City feel through some of Vince's most recent work, where it's just like talking about your surroundings and discussing what the life is really like and how it can affect you and how you can be roped into it and how your mental state can be absolutely damaged by it too. I'm sure there's some influence from Kendrick on Vince's work for sure, but at this point as well, I'm starting to wonder, like, this is a really great album, but I do think Vince has it in him to go one step further and make an album on that level of a Good Kid, Mad City. Like, I think he does. I think if he really hones in on the concept and comes up with some incredible story through line from start to end with this really interesting narrative, I think he's got it in him to put out an album of that quality, because I think he's just getting closer and closer with every album. It's really impressive. Not that I want to discredit what he's putting out, because he's great in his own right too, but I just think there is a world where he can drop an album that is in that kind of conversation, because I think at the moment Vince is putting himself in some serious conversations. Like, his work is so consistent and he should be amongst those kind of best rappers of our generation conversations with albums like this and his previous work too. Like, he is really adding himself and inserting himself into those discussions if he wasn't already there to begin with. But I think he really needs to be included now, and the serious discussions need to start happening with Vince. This is a great album. As you can tell, I think it's one of the best of the year, if that wasn't already clear. I absolutely love the vibe, love the soulful feel. The production really appeals to me in that sense, and the writing is just so beautiful across the album and really painful as well. Yeah, it's great. 8.5 out of 10 as of this moment. This is probably somewhere in my top 3 of the year, but we're only in May. Things can change, you know how it is, but at the moment, yeah, this is definitely up there for me. This is fantastic. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with me? I hope you do. I want to see as much love for this album in the comments as I'm pouring out right now. I want to see it. Let me know what your favourite track is. Let me know what your favourite Vince album is too. That would be good to see. Tell me your thoughts on the album. Tell me your thoughts on the review. Subscribe. Check out my Patreon if you would like to as well. You can support me over in there, get some perks. Support me on this channel by subscribing, liking, sharing the video, that kind of stuff. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Have a good day. Goodbye.